What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Unfortunately, we're now approaching an international break for the championship, so for the final time for around 2 weeks, we are doing our championship review, and it's a review I've been very reluctant to do. I mean, one, I'm embarrassed because I tried to do an Among Us stream which flopped big time because Streamlabs didn't work, and I had a complete mare with my predictions. Speaking of people that did do well in their predictions, your comment is on the screen right now. Well done to a lot of you that got a correct score. But the person that gets the shout out is actually FIFA 21. FIFA 21 got 5 correct scores. 5. I'm not even joking. I don't think I've ever seen anyone predict more than 5 scores. And because of this, FIFA 21 has now overtaken me in the Lexus Hall of Fame. This is currently where I stand. Joshua Frew just increasing his lead week by week. So I definitely need this 2-week break to relax, reflect, do my uni work, and then I'll be back on track. If you guys like what we see and you want to see a little bit of content, I won't be posting much since I'm doing my uni stuff. But if you like to see some, please make sure to give this video likes, tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It'd really make my day. We're on 322 last time I checked. Could we push for 500 before Christmas? Maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but I think you guys can do it, especially if all of you can share my video to social media, YouTubers as well. All of that would really make my day. But without any further ado, let's crack on with these weekend's games. So to start off with the Sevenside derby, where Bristol City repeated the bragging rights, beating Cardiff 1-0 last year, beating Cardiff 1-0 this year. And it was a very early goal from Chris Martin and Antoine Semenyo, who managed to get a start, and a very positive lineup from Dean Holden actually. He was on the right hand side, managed to square a pass to Chris Martin. Pretty poor defending, I'd say, on Cardiff's part, and I think maybe Alex Smith maybe a bit disappointed. But either way, that was a goal, and that made it 1-0. Although Cardiff, I don't think were really bad, actually. I thought Cardiff were a little bit unlucky not to get anything out of it. Kiefer Moore had some chances. Bakuna had a long way strike, which was saved by Bentley. But unfortunately for Cardiff's part, Bristol City really worked defensively, and it was probably the best defensive performance I've seen from Bristol City in quite a long time, which says a load of things. It's a brilliant win for Bristol City, cementing their place in the top 6. Dean Holden and Bristol City fans will be happy for days. And Reading at the moment just can't seem to gain more points, with their 3rd successive defeats in the hands of Stoke, a 3-0 away victory for Stoke. To be honest with you, I thought Reading started quite well actually. Semedo had 2 pretty good chances, which was well saved by Angus Gunn, who I thought had his best game in Stoke's goal. However, all 3 goals were from defensive mistakes. Lewis Gibson, unfortunately, I felt made 2 errors leading the goal. The first one technically wasn't quite his fault, but he did concede the free kick, which Stoke managed to score their first goal in. It was Tyrese Campbell with the goal, and it was Estes who tried to clear it, but he couldn't really clear it well, and Campbell made it 1-0 to Stoke. Stephen Fletcher's goal was criminal on Rafael Cabral's part. He does an awful kick trying to clear out the ball. Stoke collected quickly, and Stephen Fletcher beats the offside trap. That makes it 2-0. And Stoke had a couple more chances. Reading, unfortunately, couldn't really muster anything in that second half. I mean, when they brought Elise on, I thought that was a positive substitution, and they did look a little bit more threatening. However, with committing many bodies forward, it left them exposed, and that's exactly what Jacob Brown did in the final minute of the game. But it was Lewis Gibson again, giving the ball away. Jacob Brown rushing through one-on-one. He could have missed from there. That made it 3-0 to Stoke. Stoke are really climbing up the table. They're knocking on the door of the top 6 in the moment, and I definitely think with the squad they have, they've got the capability of having a fantastic season. Reading still first, but only just though. I think this international break has come at a really good time for Reading, in my opinion. For them, they would have wished it come a week sooner. But for Reading now, they can regroup, hopefully get a couple of injuries like Ejaria, then maybe Reading could have the restart button and they can have a good run of form again. And then we saw Bournemouth continue their fantastic start to the season with a 3-1 away victory. Arnaud Danjuma getting the first goal in the game. Brilliant build-up play actually by Stanislas on the left-hand side to find Danjuma with a load of space, beating it past Etheridge. That made it 1-0 to Bournemouth. And Bournemouth continued to pile on so much pressure, and David Brooks was the player that managed to have the standout game, getting 2 goals. His first goals, I think, in over a year, since Manchester City, I believe. His first goal came from a deflection from Adam Clayton. It wasn't the prettiest goal, but it made it 2-0 before half-time, which I think was crucial. And then it was 3-0, once again by David Brooks. But it was Dominic Solanke who did very well on the right-hand side. He had a shot that came off the post, but then Danjuma hitting a rebound, coming in from the crossbar. Yeah, a really nice goal, actually, and that made it 3-0 to Bournemouth. Birmingham did manage to get something. Pretty poor defending from a set piece. It was a corner, which Scott Hogan managed to win ahead to score his first goal for Birmingham this season. And unfortunately, that was the only kind of opportunity Birmingham had. Begovic was not really tested in goal, only made 2 pretty comfortable saves at the end of it. And it's a concern for me that Birmingham are not scoring enough goals. Bournemouth right now, definitely a favourite to get promoted in my opinion. It's going to be interesting to see how they recover from the international break, but I will have to say that I feel really bad for predicting them to finish 9th place. I don't think they'll finish that at all. I'll be a little bit surprised if they don't finish in around the top half of the table this season. And then another 3-1 scoreline was Blackburn and Queens Park Rangers, and this literally flipped me out because I know I predicted 2-1 to Blackburn, but Adam Armstrong just had to score another goal to edge himself in front from Ivan Toney in the top goal scorers to literally screw me over of having any chances of getting the correct score this weekend. I was absolutely on edge when I saw the 96th minute goal. But to start off with the game, it was richly deserved for Blackburn for me. Queens Park Rangers don't think were terrible. They did create quite a fair bit. The first goal coming from Brereton, then heading a ball to Brereton to hit it pretty much first time in the far corner. That made it 1-0. A very nice goal, actually. A quite underrated goal. Queens Park Rangers, however, did have a pretty good response and got back into the game. They were missing brighter side Samuel, which I did think heavily hurt their chances of winning, but they still created quite a fair bit. And they won a penalty where I think Queens Park Rangers appealed for the ball hitting over the line, but I think Kaminsky panicked and seemed to foul Lyndon Dykes in the moment. The referee pointed to the spot, Lyndon Dykes scoring his 3rd goal of the season, his 3rd penalty as well, and that made the score 1-1. And it really could have gone either way, but it was fantastic play from Harvey Elliott, a beautifully weighted through ball that managed to find Adam Armstrong, literally turn Yohan Barbe, and he managed to score past Young, and that made it 2-1. And then in the final minute of the game, Adam Armstrong had to score the goal that screwed any chance of me getting a correct score. Because Queens Park Rangers were chasing an equaliser when they lost out, Armstrong was put 1-on-1 with Dieng. Dieng saved it, but unfortunately on his part, he couldn't keep the ball, and then Armstrong scored the rebound, and that made it 3-1. Obviously, Queens Park Rangers did have a 2-match winning run, and they did create a little bit. Chris Willock had a couple of chances, which was saved by Kaminsky, but apart from that, I think Queens Park Rangers are really missing the creativity that they did have from last season, and I think Brightside Samuel is a very important player. An international break will give him enough time to make sure that Brightside Samuel's fit again. As with Blackburn right now, they're now up to 12th. Definitely has some great performances in them, but it's consistency. I think Blackburn can improve, but it's going to be interesting. Just depends if they can fix their defence. And then to the first 0-0 draw this weekend, that went to Brentford and Middlesbrough. And I even remember saying in my score predictions, this shouldn't be 0-0. But then I kind of backed myself, but then I backed myself to say 1-1. I don't know why I didn't think of it. Because Middlesbrough being the most involved side with a 0-0 draw so far. Once that may cost them, it means they've got a very, very tight defence. And I have to say, they really limited to Brentford to any chances at all at home. They only had 1 shot on target. And in fact, same goes to Middlesbrough. And if anything, I actually think Middlesbrough may have come the closest to scoring a goal, actually. I think Raya had to make the better save out of the 2 goalkeepers in goal. Although Brentford did miss some really guilty chances where I thought if they did hit the target, they definitely would have scored a goal, which means we could have had a different game. But alas, both attacks weren't at it. It was 0-0, and I think it was a deserved result. And this result finds Derby County bottom of the Championship, their worst start to a season since their 2007-2008 dire Premier League season, with a 2-0 defeat against Barnsley. I mean, I know Filukoku was in the stadium. He had to self-isolate for COVID-19, but the pressure is still going to be put upon him. And unfortunately for Derby, apart from 2 pretty good chances from Tom Lawrence, where Walton did save in Barnsley's goal, they created pretty close to nothing. They had a lot of the ball, but Barnsley had chance after chance. And the fact that they created chances out of nothing, it definitely outlies the positive of Valerian Ismail for how Barnsley have taken to his identity already. They're getting more points on the ball, which is fantastic for them. But I think it's just alluding to more worrying signs for Derby County. And their first goal, I'm sorry, it was inexcusable for what David Marshall did. Tried to play out from the back, Connor Chaplin intercepted it, and he scored. That made it 1-0 to Barnsley. And to be fair to Derby, I mean, Barnsley didn't even look like scoring because Derby did try to assure things up a little bit. But it was a bit of quality from Icta Adebayo, who managed to score the second goal, and that made it 2-0. Brilliant win for Barnsley. They're now propelled nearly at the top half of the table, which is fantastic for them. Derby right now, I mean, they've got to make some serious decisions. I know they've got a proposed takeover, which could be in their minds right now, but they need to think about what's best for the club right now. And I just think the Derby players cannot play the system. I don't know if Koku's just overcomplicating it, or I don't think if it may be just a bit of unrest. I mean, either way, it's not looking good for Derby. Then we saw Huddersfield and Luton get a 1-1 draw, and I won't lie, that was going to be my alternative prediction. I just felt Luton were going to be strong at the back and hold for 1-0 win. And to be fair, they did get their first goal into the game, and it was George Moncur. A little bit of quality on his part, which made it 1-0 to him. Although Huddersfield after from going behind had chance after chance. And I have to say, Huddersfield's response was terrific. And it was that kind of really good response I didn't anticipate for Huddersfield. Fair play to them. If anything, they even deserved to win that game with the amount of chances they eventually had, especially in the second half. The first half, I thought Huddersfield were quite poor. But second half, I don't know what Corberan changed, but whatever he changed, I want to know, because he really turned his side into a machine. They were having chance after chance, and eventually their persistence paid off with Etting with the goal, and a real nice build-up to the goal as well. That made it 1-1. And I actually think that was a deserved result in the end of it. I say both sides looked quite good actually, but the problem was their clinicalness. Both sides only had 2 shots on target, which was a real shame for me. I thought there was going to be a lot more chances going through. But I say both these sides are having a pretty good start in the moment, both in around of a mid-table position, but both sides I think can aspire for bigger things. I'm definitely excited with both of these sides. And then the Marcus Stiepermann goal that literally ruined any potential chance of me getting a correct score was in this game. Norwich 1, Swansea 0, and I was so close to backing Norwich as well. I can't tell you this. There's so many games I was 1 goal off, and just a last-minute decision, last-minute plans, etc., and just so angry. But with this game though, it was really close actually. I thought it was going to be very cagey, but actually both teams had plenty of chances. But what I will say, how on earth did Swansea not score any goals? But I'll give you a straight answer for that. Tim Krul was outstanding. Tim Krul, I think, would be my player for weekend. If you saw the saves he made, especially against the likes of Andre Ayew and 2 from Jamal Lowe, he was absolutely terrific and didn't even make an effort to pull off those saves. And I think Swansea did grow frustrated from him, but it was Norwich who stayed in the game, and eventually they got their persistence. And there was a bit of individual quality actually from Stiepermann just outside the penalty box, striking a very clean strike actually. He was clearly saving that in his locker. He managed to get the goal, and Norwich, I do have to say, I think will be a favourite to get promoted. I know their performances have probably not been at the top tier, but Norwich are getting results, which is very key. A little bit similar to Luton. They don't necessarily have to play amazing football, but if they're getting results, that's going to ultimately benefit them. I don't think Swansea should begrudge about anything. They were really good. They just did everything apart from score a goal. And I think they have to put it down to Tim Krul having a fantastic day. Swansea's another team who I think will be up there. Very soon, Nottingham Forest game back-to-back wins with a 2-0 victory over Wycombe Wanderers. I don't think it's going to ultimately change much, because I still think Wycombe, despite having a little bit of miraculous form of going unbeaten in 3 games, it's still Wycombe Wanderers, and they're still going to have problems at the back. And Nottingham Forest in the end of it just showed the quality, or if anything, they just showed the quality of Lyle Taylor. And I'm really sad for Lewis Grabban, but I have to say, I think Lyle Taylor has to start now and be their #1 striker. He scored in every half of the game, the first goal coming in from scoring a header. Poor defending, I have to say. Wycombe did have a couple of chances. Akinfenwa did have a header which was just wide off the post. Brice Samba made a few comfortable saves, but apart from that, Wycombe didn't really create much. And the scoreline was justified where Lyle Taylor scored his second. Once again, very poor defending. There was at least 4 players around him, and he just couldn't close him down, and they couldn't really make a challenge and stop him going on his stride. Wycombe at the moment, I definitely have to say, it's going to be a scrap if they're going to have to try and survive the season. I don't think it's beyond the world of possibility, but they're going to have to really scrap for their lives. But I think having the influence of something like Akinfenwa and the team spirit, they definitely have the chance to survive. As with Nottingham Forest now, they're slowly but surely climbing up the table, still in a very low position, but 2 wins in a row now is exactly where they needed to go. Now they can use this international break to reflect on a fantastic end to this period of the season. And then we saw Preston's first defeat away from home as Rotherham took a 2-1 victory. And if I'm going to be honest, in terms of the highlights, deserved, really deserved. Rotherham had more opportunities and more dangerous opportunities, and honestly, they really could have scored more. Did you see the miss Ladapo had? He was basically 2 yards out and he shot it wide. But let's not go on that. Let's go on Rotherham's win. And the first goal came from Richard with some brilliant control actually on his part. He chested it and managed to volley it into the net. That made it 1-0 to Rotherham. And he still continued to have chances. And apart from one Daniel Johnson chance for Preston in near the beginning of the game, they didn't really create anything at all and really restricted Preston until Ryan Ledson scored. And I have to say, out of all the players, Ryan Ledson's up there and being one of the better players for Preston right now. He's having his breakout season. That made it 1-1 with a fantastically struck shot just inside the penalty box. No Blackburn in goal either, so which was interesting to see Rotherham changing their goalkeeper. But then Rotherham wrapped up the scoring, and I think deservedly so as well, with Matt Crooks getting his first goal of the season. That made it 2-1 to Rotherham. Preston right now, I don't know what to make of them. Clearly they've got a good performance within them, but they're proving to be really inconsistent. A bit reminding me of Blackburn a little bit. Not as free scoring as Blackburn, but their lack of inconsistency in their performances. If they could just fix that and potentially just get more options in and more quality, Preston could be such a good side. With Rotherham, I think the only way is up. Fantastic that they got that win, actually. They managed to give themselves a little bit of a breathing space in the chasing pack in the bottom part of the table. And then to the final 0-0 draw, which was Sheffield Wednesday and Millwall. And I couldn't decide which one was worse, but I'm going to have to say that 0-0 draw was even worse. Sheffield Wednesday, I have to say, and give them credit, they did have chances, but they didn't even really look like threatening them. Really big chances. The only one big chance they had was when Sean Hutchinson made a mistake at the back, giving the ball to Josh Windass. He charged forward, but Bill Kasky made a fantastic save, denying Windass at his near post. But apart from that, goal mouth action was very, very few. So I won't neglect much on this game. It doesn't really speak many volumes for both sides. One positive for Sheffield Wednesday, though, following this point, they're now not in the foot of the table. They've been replaced by Derby County now. As with Mill right now, clearly, just like Middlesbrough, they're going to be very resolute at the back. But likewise in Middlesbrough, they need to score more goals and need to make sure they stop drawing games as well. Because obviously, they are another side heavily associated with 0-0 draws as well after drawing 0-0 with Norwich in the previous game. And it seems to be saved the best to last as Watford beat Coventry by 3-2 for what was a mad game to watch. The first half was very, very poor, I won't lie. Watford didn't really have an opportunity. Coventry had one chance which went wide of the post. Second half, from minute 53 was when the game started. Andre Gray scoring the first goal. The Coventry's defence though in that, I mean, what on earth they were doing? They just kind of tried to clear it, but they just gave it to Andre Gray to score his first goal for Watford this season, flicking the ball into net and made it 1-0. However, despite their poor defence, Coventry did very well with attacking sense and got 2 quick goals in 2 minutes. Gustavo Heckman with the first goal. The ball was partially cleared, but he had pretty much a first-time header, looping it over Ben Foster. I tell you what, this is a contender for my goal of the weekend for how unique it is. And Tyler Walker scoring his first goal for Coventry this season. A very powerful strike and a load of precision there. That made it 2-1 to Coventry. And I thought Coventry might hold on here. But unfortunately, for what I say, they conceded the most goals in the league and their defence is going to be a problem. Trustekon scored his first goal for Watford, scoring from a corner. And then it made matters worse for Coventry when Callum O'Hare managed to handball the ball in the box, which got a penalty. Pretty harsh decision in my opinion, but the ball does strike his hand and it is a penalty. Ismail Assar steps up, he scores, and that makes it 3-2 to Watford. Likewise to Norwich, I don't think Watford are a team that are performing right at their best right now. And it's a bit unusual that they're conceding quite a fair few amount of goals now. But I think it's fair to say that Ivic is definitely trying to change his style, be a lot more gun-ho attacking-wise, because Watford are scoring more goals now, which I think is very, very key. In terms of Coventry, definitely performing with such positivity, a bit similar to Wycombe, can literally look so dangerous going forward. But their defence has more holes than a cartoon cheese. They need to definitely patch those holes as soon as they can. But it's a great win for Watford, they're in the top 6. So that wraps up my review. Obviously on the screen right now is the current championship table. So for the top 2, we've got Reading and we've got Watford in the top 2 positions. In the top 6, we've got Norwich, Bournemouth, Bristol City and Swansea making up the top 6. So this is the top 6 before the second international break. Quite interesting actually. For the rest of the top half of the table, we've got Middlesbrough, Stoke, then we've got Millwall, Luton, Brentford and Blackburn making up the top half of the table. And then for the rest of the table, we've got Huddersfield, Preston, Cardiff. Then we've got Barnsley, Birmingham, QPR, then Rotherham. Then with the teams a little bit in danger, Nottingham Forest and Coventry just scraping in 21st place. But Wycombe, Sheffield Wednesday and now Derby County are in the bottom 3. Derby, rock bottom. And look at Coventry and Nottingham Forest. A 4-point gap already. I tell you what, from Coventry down to Derby, all 4 of these sides need to pick up some points ASAP. But as we don't have any championship football in the next 2 weeks, we won't get to predict the midweek games, and you won't see me do some championship stuff for quite some time now, and it'll give me a load of time to do my university stuff. But before I leave for a little bit, let's do our championship rewards. So we'll start with the goal of the weekend. I'm not too sure who to give it to because we didn't have any crackers. Brereton's goal I thought was good, but I mentioned this already for how unique that goal was. I'm going to give my goal of the weekend to Gustavo Hamer. Just the position in that header to loop Ben Foster like that, that is going to be my goal of the weekend. Result of the weekend, I think it's going to be that game, Watford 3, Coventry 2, a thrilling game for the fact that Coventry completed for what they thought was going to be a comeback. Even within 2 minutes was extraordinary. A thrilling game to watch, that's going to be my result of the weekend. Player of the weekend is really tough. I'm actually going to give my player of the weekend to David Brooks because I thought he was absolutely terrific for Bournemouth. Was the first time I thought we saw the David Brooks we all know and love. So my player of the weekend goes to David Brooks. But that wraps it up for today's video, and it may be the last video you see for quite some time. Obviously, I'll repeat it for the third time now, which I think I have kept count. I'm doing university stuff, so you won't see me all that often, although you may see me stream tomorrow on a bit of Among Us. I know the first stream was a disaster. Do forgive me about that. It's the first time I used Streamlabs. I'm hoping now, with a couple of changes of settings and actually a new app installed for Among Us, we might have a smoother stream. But I guess that wraps it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like what you see, please do give this video a like, tremendously appreciate it. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. Let's push on for 500 subscribers, then to 1,000 subscribers. It'll really make my day. And if you haven't done, please share my channel to as many people as you can. All about it will really make my day. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary. If you saw the end of this video. And as always, take care.